Good evening, Tiger fans. We are coming to you live from Lincoln High School in beautiful downtown Lake City, Minnesota. This is the first ever Lake City Tigers pregame show, and we're going to count down to the Lake City Tigers and the Byron Bears playing in the 20th HVL championship game. And that it will be coming up for you at 7 o'clock. We've got a good show lined up for you. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about how the Tiger program fared this year. We're going to talk about a little bit about our seniors, and we're going to recap the girls' playoff win from Thursday night. We're going to talk about the boys' playoff picture, and we're going to give you all the information you need to know about how to attend the boys and girls playoff games that are upcoming. And then we're going to wrap it up with a preview of the HVL title game, the game that you are about to watch, coming up in just about an hour. As the Tigers and the Bears, a rematch from Tuesday night when the Tigers surprised the Bears over in Byron. They beat them 60-43. Well, we'll pause for a little bit, and I'll be back, and we'll talk about the history of the HVL championship game in its 20th season. So take a 30-second pause, and we'll be back in just a bit. And we are back. Lake City Tigers basketball pregame show. It is the Tigers and the Byron Bears. They're going to play in the HVL championship game. And this is the 20th playing of that game. It's enjoyed 2 decades of somewhat mixed reviews, we'll say. The inaugural HVL championship game was in 1994. It was played between the Lured Eagles and the Lake City Tigers. The idea of it was there were a couple teams added to the HVL, and it was large enough that they split it into 2 divisions. There was a blue and a gold, and each side would have a division champion, and then they would play in this game for the winner would be the HVL champion that year. It's kind of flip-flopped in format, a couple of years. I know the Goodhue Wildcats and La Crescent Lancers entered the league about 5 years ago, and they kind of redid it then. They added the team to both sides, and then it was only the interdivision games that mattered. Back when I was in high school, they did it with any team you played against an HVL opponent counted toward your record. And word on the street is they're actually going to return to that format next year. But for now, the Tigers were a 11-1 team in the 12 division games they played, and the Bears also were 11-1. Both of them, their only losses were to teams that many figured to be prominent entrants in the race for a division title, but both of the, in the case, it would be the Cannon Falls Bombers and the Hayfield Vikings, and both of those teams stumbled a little bit, and I believe they both ended up finishing 3rd in their respective divisions, so a little bit of unpredictability in the HVL divisions this year, and that's never a bad thing. So, of course, you're probably wondering who has the most division titles in the since they've done this in the 20 years, and that would be Rochester Lured. They have racked up 9 division championships, and your Lake City Tigers are second. They have racked up 7. And the Lured Eagles hold the record with the most times winning the HVL championship game. They have won it 4 times. However, both the Byron Bears or the Lake City Tigers, if they win the game tonight, would tie Lured for that mark, as the Bears have 3 crowns and the Tigers as well. The Bears and Tigers have met in the HVL title game before. They did back in 2004. 2003-04 season is what that was. The game was pretty one-sided. It was over in Byron, and the Bears came away with a 54-37 win. The Tigers had won the division on the last day against Zumbrota Mazeppa, and the Bears were kind of a powerhouse that year. They had Matt Storley was their go-to big guy, and he was a little too much to handle for the Tigers that day. Tiger team that featured my fellow classmates Ted Stam and Sterling Malcolmson and a couple of juniors, Quinn Sweeney, Alex Borschatz, and Nolan Kraus were the big players the last time the Tigers and the Bears faced off. Well, the all but one team has played in the title game. The only one that is unfortunately not is the Triton Cobras. Otherwise, every team has gotten a chance to play for it. No, there's a few teams that have not won it. Triton, obviously. Goodhue has not won it, but they've only been in the league for about 5 years. The Hayfield Vikings have also never won the HVL championship game. They've played in it once. They played it in 1997 against the Lake City Tigers, a game the Tigers eked out 32-31. The game can't quite call itself having a storied history. It's been around for 20 years now, or rather this is the 20th playing, and it's met with some controversy recently. The Byron head coach said he was not a fan of it, didn't care for it, thought it was a game that his players could get hurt in, or maybe a free look at the Byron Bears or the Lake City Tigers before the playoff time comes. But the kids, the Lake City kids that I talked to, they seem to be pretty enthusiastic about it. They said it was one of their goals and they'd like to win, and from what I hear, their friends over in Byron feel the same way, and so hopefully they'll bring us a good game tonight. And the Tigers are hosting the HVL championship game for the 4th time. The Tigers are 3-0 in the previous 3 games they have hosted, the last of which coming in 2005, and we'll have more on that later in the program. So the Tigers looking to make it 4 for 4 in HVL championships, and boy, we hope they can do that tonight. The road team has won the game 4 times. The home team holds a commanding 15-4 in the HVL title game. However, the 4 road teams that won, 3 of them happened in the last 4 years. It was Winona Cotter, Cannon Falls, and Stewartville from 2009 to 2011 all won the HVL title game away from home. The previous time it had happened is in 2003 when the Byron Bears won it away from home. So Byron looking to make history again 10 years later, and we'll see if they can do that tonight. Well, that about wraps up our preview of the HVL title game's history, or review of it rather. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Lake City Tigers basketball program this season. And we're going to recap the 7th, 8th, 9th JV and varsity seasons to this point. And we are going to recap the varsity season a little more intently, but we will have that coming up for you. We're going to pause for 30 seconds, and we're going to be back, and we'll review the programs Please stay with us here on the Lake City Tigers pregame show in front